Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Alex and today I would like to make a companion video to one I did previously regarding the Death Knight. Now previously I had done a Death Knight video where I was the warrior primary with a Necromancer secondary, and I showed kind of all the options of how that can work within Guild Wars. Today I'm going to kind of take the same approach, but I'm coming at it from the other direction, and that is a Necromancer primary and a Warrior secondary. Can that work? Should you do it? Or how well can it be done, or is it just suicidal? Now, the key thing is that the Warrior has a very high base armor value. They have a base armor value of 80 with 100 base armor value against physical damage. So they are pretty tanky. While all caster professions have a base armor value of 60. So if I pull up my Necromancer here, if I scroll over to their armor, you can see it's a base armor of 60. So what that means is, in Guild Wars, the overall base armor at level 20 is 60, which means I would take 100% of the damage. There's no damage mitigation, there's no damage enhancement, it's the base value across the game, is armor of 60. And this is true for all caster professions: Necromancer, Mesmer, Monk, Elementalist, and Ritualist, which are half of the professions in Guild Wars. So when we talk about a caster profession taking on a warrior secondary to actually be a warrior, is that even wise? I would say in most cases, no. Is it possible? Yes. But can it be effective? Well, it depends. It takes a lot more setup than having a warrior primary. But let's take a look at what the advantages and disadvantages are. Of course, the main disadvantage is you don't get the warrior's strength attribute, so the whole strength line is out. You also don't get their heavy armor, as was just mentioned. But what are the advantages as a caster? Well, the main advantage is you have more energy overall, and you have increased energy generation. Plus, as a Necromancer, I have the advantage of the Soul Reaping primary. So what can we do with this? Well, the first approach here is to at least try to mitigate somewhat the armor disadvantage of a caster compared to a warrior. Now, you're not going to be a warrior. It doesn't work like that. But you can at least mitigate some of that disadvantage. So the very first thing is, okay, how can I increase this base armor level? Well, that's where inscriptions come in. And for the Necromancer, they have a few good options. The one I like, of course, is the Tormentor. I'll put on my Tormentor set. Now, the Tormentor armor gives me across the board plus 10 armor. So this actually gives me the same base armor level as, say, a ranger or an assassin. The only downside is, of course, is I take increased holy damage. But in PvE though, and even in PvP quite a few times, how many times do you come across holy damage? Not that much. So yes, it's a risk, but it's not a big risk. It's a calculated risk. In PvE, basically the only real big time you're going to come across a lot of holy damage is more in factions when they spam Ray of Judgment everywhere. So I like this inscription. It's 10 armor across the board without any kind of condition. Another one that can be quite useful, and it depends how you set up your build, can be the Sentry inscription. Now that's a universal inscription. Anyone can wear it. That gives plus 10 armor while you're in a stance. And the warrior has quite a lot of stances. But here we go. So we got plus 10 armor, thanks to the Tormentor's insignia. Okay, that's great, but plus 10 armor while getting beat up on the front line, does that really help a lot? Not really a lot. It is not going to make you survive that much longer. It helps, but not that much. Can we do some more? Yes, we can. Next up, we can equip a shield. So, boom, we now have a shield. Well, that's great. That gave me 16 armor, but I don't have 10 tactics. I mean, I could put a little bit in tactics, but what does that give me? Actually, equipping a shield without meeting its base requirements still provides a benefit, but it gives you half of the armor value. So even though it says armor 16, I'm actually getting an armor of 8. 8 armor is not something to sneeze at. Now, of course, I lose the advantages of having a magical offhand. Sorry, I don't have the energy pool that I had. Plus, I don't get whatever bonuses it provided. But an extra 8 armor now bumps me up from 78. I'm sorry, from 70 to 78. Not bad. Not bad. We're actually getting close to 80. We're actually getting close to the warrior's base armor value. If they were a hammer warrior, if they didn't equip a shield. Okay. Well, one thing we can do is, let's see if we can get the full bonuses. So if I drop death magic all the way down and bring tactics up, bring tactics to 10, now I will get the 16 armor. So now I'm at 86 armor. That's pretty good armor. It's not as great as as a warrior, but now you're not as squishy as some people would think. All right. There's another way you can do this. Instead of looking for an offhand requiring 10, look for one that requires a 9 or even an 8, and that is what I have. So I'll put this right here, and I have this skeleton shield with an 8 tactics. So I'm going to go over here, and now I have a sword, which is a Murukai's blade, and a skeleton shield. Nothing in additional to it, but now I can drop this down to tactics 8, bring up a lot of skill points, and I get the full 16 armor. So if you can get a Rec 8 shield, it's definitely worth it if you want to play this kind of style of gameplay. But even if you have to go up to 9, where the base shields are in the game, that's pretty good too. But now let's drop it down to 8. Now we have to choose a weapon. Axe, hammer, swordsmanship. Of course, hammer's out, because if you want the shield, then you can't use hammer. Okay. So that leaves axe and swordsmanship. Not saying you can't use hammer, but just realize you're going to be squishier, and there's kind of no points in putting things in tactics unless you want shouts and stances and things like that. So let's start to crank up swordsmanship. So I need a base 9, so let's drop blood down to 14. That gets me up to 11 swordsmanship. So that leaves 14 blood, 7 soul reaping, 11 swordsmanship, and 8 tactics. Not bad. I get the bonus of the shield plus the sword. Yes, blood came down a little bit, but 14 is still quite good, especially with runes. And 7 soul reaping still gives me a pretty decent amount of energy coming in. Now I'm actually going to load from the template. And this is what I kind of put together. Now I'm not saying this is a great build. All right, it's probably not. But I just want to kind of just run through why I chose what I chose. For the Necromancer, the blood attribute line is probably the best because it keeps you gaining health as you're losing it. Okay, and so this gives you a lot of ways to heal yourself, where in curses and in death it's kind of a little bit different story. There are ways to heal yourself there, but it's not as effective. So here we are. The main thing here is Unholy Feast and Well of Blood. That will provide me quite a lot of healing coming in. I also have Touch of Agony, and that is going to combine with Signet of Suffering. So Signet of Suffering will give me bleeding for 6 seconds, but will make the target start bleeding for 15 seconds. Combine that with Touch of Agony, I'll get 55 shadow damage plus 15 seconds of bleeding, which takes the place of Sever Artery in the swordsmanship line, and now I can go straight to Gash if I have the adrenaline built up for it. To help build up adrenaline, I'm going to use Fury, and that will help feed into Gash, go with slash and on as a quick defensive option. Not very long, but 3 seconds for defensive stance. But remember, these can stance switch. So, this one's for 5 seconds. That one's for 3 seconds. Okay. Now, again, not saying this is perfect. I'm not even saying this is good, but it just kind of runs through the process of making something that can hopefully last more than 2 seconds. So we're going to head outside. I'm in Gad's encampment in Eye of the North. We're going to go beat up some dinosaurs. I'm going to go out in normal mode.
Most curious.
Again, this is just kind of a standard team. It's not Mesmer way or anything like that. So we'll take a look here. So now I have a base of 86, assuming I don't come across holy damage. Now the problem are those raptor patrols. We gotta steer clear of them and not over aggro. And we come here, we gotta kill these guys quick. So let's do it. Okay, that's one. Okay, he's already bleeding, so I'm not gonna do that twice. Let's get boom. They like to exploit corpses, so I like to jump on them before that happens. Oh, there's the raptors. Ooh. Let's get that. Get the ball of blood up. Stance switch. And while we're chasing these guys... Oh, okay, he wants to block. Fine. So the nice thing about this Touch of Agony is that it gives me a way around the blocking, which is kind of nice. Alright, so that worked quite well. Let's see if we can find one more group here. Okay, there's another raptor group. We can try and take these guys on. Let's get our adrenaline built up. Alright, fine. Let's get the well blood up. And there we go. So this gives a nice little AoE in the area of 61 health from 4. Well, blood always helps again with the survivability. And defensive scans just in case I get really focused down here. Okay. Let's get that Unholy Feasts. Yeah, they like to exploit. Alright, oh. I already has deep wound, but okay, whatever. I had bleeding. And there we go. Yeah, so when you have a warrior combined with Touch of Agony, remember it's 10% of your health, you really want to combine that with spells that will get your health back. So Well of Blood, Unholy Feast I like, Vampiric Bite or Vampiric Touch, another good one, but that's single target. And so yeah, go back here. So anyways, this is just a quick video on how to approach being a frontline martial profession if you're a caster. again, there are several different options. You have to play a little more defensively. You have to think a little more strategically about how you're going to raise your armor and regain your health and not just be instantly blown away. So, for example, again, with the Elementalists, a lot of the Earth Elementalists, they can reach very, very high armor if their enchantments are not stripped or anything like that. So, maybe that'll be another video for another times. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this quick video. Again, it's more of a brain teaser. It's not saying that this is the end-all, be-all type of build in the world that is going to stomp through everything in Guild Wars. But if you want to shake it up, you want to try something new, do some build wars here on your own and just have a different style of playing, it could be interesting. It's always an interesting challenge to try and make something that doesn't traditionally work, or one would not traditionally think work, and make it work. And I think that's the real beauty of Guild Wars. That's what makes Guild Wars so special in comparison to almost any other game. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Take care, everyone, and I'll talk to you soon.